You know, we all want freedom, right? But what if we're looking for it in all the wrong places? We tend to think it's about controlling everything that happens to us. But today, we're going to dig into this really powerful idea that maybe, just maybe, real freedom isn't about controlling events at all. It's about mastering the one thing we actually can control, our response. And that journey, well, it starts right here. If all you can do is crawl, then start crawling. Now, when you first hear that from Rumi, you might think it sounds kind of bleak, but it's not about weakness at all. It's this incredible call to action. It's saying, hey, it doesn't matter what your situation is. The first step, even if it's the absolute smallest one, is always yours for the taking. It's about starting exactly where you are with exactly what you've got. So this gets us to the absolute heart of the matter. It's this keystone concept from Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. And what he noticed was something so simple you could almost miss it. He saw that between what happens to us, that's the stimulus, and how we react to it, that's the response, there's a little gap, a space. And he realized that in that space, that's where our power is. That's our freedom to choose. Honestly, this one idea, it's the foundation for everything we're going to talk about. This is where our freedom actually lives. Okay, so if that's where freedom is, how do we find that space? And maybe more importantly, how do we protect it? Well, our first discipline is all about mental prep. It's about getting yourself ready for the day and for all the little frustrations that are pretty much guaranteed to happen. And the strategy has a great name: swallow the toad first. And look, this is not some trendy life hack from a blog. This is literally the morning routine of Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome. This is what he did. Every single morning, he'd tell himself, today I'm going to run into people who are nosy, ungrateful, arrogant. He was basically forecasting human imperfection, and he wasn't doing it to be a downer. It was a super practical exercise to get a handle on his own reactions before he even left his room. And this is such a crucial distinction, right? This isn't cynicism. It's not about just writing people off in advance. Think of it more like a psychological inoculation. You're giving yourself a little dose of the frustration virus ahead of time. So when you inevitably meet that difficult person, you're not ambushed by anger. You've already done the groundwork. You've built the space to respond with patience, maybe even compassion, because you saw it coming. All right, that leads us perfectly into our second discipline. So you've prepared for the outside world, right? The next move is to turn that focus inward. Because look, the goal here is not to change everybody else. That's a losing battle. The goal is to manage yourself. And the metaphor for this one is fantastic. Put on your slippers. I just love this quote from Anthony DeMello. It is easier to protect your feet with slippers than to carpet the whole of the earth. It just perfectly nails it, doesn't it? We spend so much energy trying to change everything and everyone around us, basically trying to carpet the entire planet. And it's exhausting when the only thing we actually have any control over is ourselves, our own 2 feet. Putting on your own slippers is so much more effective. So think about it. Whenever a setback happens, you're at a fork in the road. You've got a choice to make. Like G.K. Chesterton said, how you think when you lose determines how long it'll be till you win again. So what do? Path number 1, you look outward. You blame other people. That road just leads you right back to the same failure over and over. But path number 2, you look inward. You ask yourself, okay, what was my part in this? What could I have done differently? That question, that's the one that transforms a loss into the very foundation for your next win. This whole idea of looking inward, it naturally brings us to our third discipline. And this one is about our most precious, totally non-renewable resource. I'm talking about time, of course. It's like this currency that we're all given, and we just spend it a lot of the time without even thinking about it. So check out this quote from Oscar Wilde. Punctuality is the thief of time. Now, that sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? But just think about it for a second. Imagine that person who is absolutely frantic about being on time for everything, just stressed out of their mind about every single appointment. Are they really honoring their time? Or are they just being controlled by their anxiety about time? See, the real discipline isn't just about being punctual. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing what deserves your punctuality. It's that huge shift from anxiously scrambling to be on time for stuff that honestly doesn't really matter, to consciously deciding to dedicate your limited hours to the things that do. Things like your own growth, finding some quiet, developing your own philosophy. The philosopher Seneca actually connected this idea to physical training. He said, when we work out, we're not just doing it to get fit, we're building that inner muscle of self-command. We're developing that ability to demand something truly worthy from our day. And when you invest your time like that, it's not just spent, it's compounded, it grows. Okay, let's recap. We've prepped our minds for the day. We've turned our focus inward. We're being intentional with our time. So where does all this lead? Well, it brings us to our fourth and final discipline, and this is where it all comes together. It's the highest expression of all this work, how we lead and how we serve other people. And it doesn't matter if you're leading a country, a company, or just your own family. Seth Godin has this great point about systems. Think about it, from massive things like capitalism all the way down to our own family dynamics. These systems, they don't like to change. You can't just flip a switch and change the whole thing. But what you can do is work skillfully within the part you control, your own sphere of influence. And that is pure stoicism, right? It's coming right back to, don't try to carpet the whole earth, just put on your slippers and walk where you can. And if you want a massive historical example of what this looks like, let's go back to our friend Marcus Aurelius. When a horrible plague was sweeping through Rome, what did he do? He didn't lock down his palace and hoard his riches. No, he held a 2-month-long public auction of his own stuff, the imperial treasures, all to raise money for relief efforts. I mean, the message couldn't be clearer. A true leader serves the people. But what's so powerful is that this exact same principle scales all the way down to the most personal moments. Take the French parenting idea of la pause, the pause. When your kid falls down, can you just pause for a second before you rush over? When they do something you don't agree with, can you listen before you jump in and argue? It's the exact same discipline. That parent who pauses, they are literally creating that space between stimulus and response. That's leadership on the most intimate level possible. So we've talked about all this discipline, this rigor, this self-command. But why? Why go through all the trouble? And that brings us to our final piece here, the ultimate goal of all this hard work. And I'm going to bet it's not what you think. The final measure, what all of this allows you to build, is a gentle life. Yeah, all that prep work, all that discipline, it's not the point. It's just the vehicle. It's all in service of this. According to the Buddha, when it's all said and done, only 3 things really matter. And it turns out the final destination of all this tough stoic practice isn't to become hard as a rock. It's to live a life with more love, more gentleness, and the grace to let go of the things that just weren't meant for you. And when you've practiced this, when you've really learned to find and live in that little space between what happens and how you respond, you finally arrive at this incredible declaration of independence. You realize, I'm not a robot. I'm not just a machine being pushed around by whatever happens outside of me. I am free because I'm in control of the one thing that actually truly matters. That space, sometimes it's only as big as a single breath. But as Viktor Frankl showed us, it's also big enough to hold everything that makes us human. So the only real question left is for you. Now that you know it's there, what are you going to do with your space?